Thank you, Hong. We just love partnering with WGU. We do enjoy having these sessions regularly, so we really appreciate Hong and the WGU team opening up the doors so that we can raise financial awareness. It's super important that you have this component of your health in place, and it really does help your physical and mental health as well. So again, we're just so happy to be here today. And as Hong said, we do have the chat open and available. So please feel free to plug in and participate there. And we will, with that, we're going to go ahead and jump in here to creating a budget. The first thing I want to make sure is that everyone can hear me and can see my screen. So if I can get thumbs ups across the screens or in the chat, so everybody let me know. Perfect. All right. We are up and running then. So again, just welcome WGU family. We love being here with you all and sharing this time. Today, we're going to talk about creating a budget, but we first want to touch on the actual platform that we're using today, and that is the My Milestones platform. It is something that WGU has customized for you as it being a student there, and we just love that you have access to this at your fingertips. We just touched on why financial wellness is so important. And again, it's because it just makes your overall health stronger and better. Having knowledge really does help you to lower those financial stresses, and studies are really supporting that information, which we'll show later on. As Hong said, we are going to have a Q&A time, but we also have a call to action component in here. And the reason for that is once you have knowledge, it is super important to action that. You cannot make changes in your life without having the action component of your knowledge. So we will encourage that as well at the end. The My Milestones platform allows you to dig a little bit deeper in your financial journey, which gives you the ability to assess where you are currently, explore some different options and educational components that you're interested in, uncover lots of deeper information, and then also just do some measuring of your financial stresses. The other great component of this is that we do not share any of your information with your WG team, and everything is completely private. We don't share it with anyone else. So as we spoke of the studies, this shows you where everybody sits and why My Milestones is so important. That the studies are showing that employed people, employed and students, I consider students as that's a job. You're going to college, that is a job. So 50% of financially stressed people are afraid or embarrassed to come forward and talk about their financial situations with anyone or even ask questions. So that is a great reason why My Milestones exist. It's a one-stop shop. It's completely reliable information, and it keeps everything within firewalls and guarded. So you're not out on the internet searching that information and putting your information out there and then wondering if those results are reliable and who's recording that information. So again, just wonderful that WGU offers this to you all as students, because it's really a great way to say how much they care about their family there, and they want to take care of all aspects of your health. So now we're going to give you an opportunity to get signed up on the platform so you can see it live today and you can follow along if you aren't already on the My Milestones platform. If you are, you just can pop in there on your WGU URL code, or you can go to the actual site, which is the URL wgu.mymilestones.com. If you've got it on your phone or your mobile device, you can bookmark that so it will act almost as an app, even though it's not directly used that way. So again, if you get it up there, make sure you do bookmark it, because we want you to have easy access to it. So let's go ahead and do some thumbs up either in chat or across the screens to let us know that you are logged in and up and running, or that you're signing up. And if you have any difficulties doing either one, please put in the chat, because Matt is here today to support me throughout, as well as keep track of the chat and help you all with that. He has dropped that link in there so that you can have easier access to that. And while you all are doing that, I am going to start getting myself logged on here so that you can see what this live site looks like, as well as we begin to navigate through the course. So you will notice here, I do have the site already pulled up. You can see that it is customized. WGU wants to make sure that you can get in touch with them as well as us all in one place. I want to draw your attention over here to the join handshake. They have, again, customized this so that you have easy access to everything that is all WGU. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom as well and just show you another area here from Western Governors University that you can get not only in touch with Commerce Bank, but then you also have your careers and your career services links here at the bottom. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and log in. I have already created all my information. So once you are on the site, you're going to be prompted with a wellness checkup box. At this time, we're going to have you skip that. If you are new to the site, you can take that at a later time. And I'm just going to give you a bird's eye view before we jump into the actual course. Sorry, I was trying to read chat as well. You can actually, Matt can answer that. You can register your account either with your personal account or with your WGU email. It's really whichever you prefer. Okay, so first off, we do have a welcome from Western Governors University. You always want to take a look at those because they give you another area where you can understand the platform, but there are also some links here that are going to get you to some of the areas of the actual site that are helpful, all in one page. And you'll also see this great work generating here. I'm earning these 25 XPs. We're going to parking lot that, and I will get back to that in a little bit and let you know a little more about that. So after you take your financial wellness checkup, it's going to unlock these Get Recommendations. Those two will partner together to customize the site so that it builds content and information for what you are interested in. So for example, your financial journey is very, very personal and someone that's like going back to school right now, then you may be more interested in budgeting or searching for scholarships, or if you're graduating, maybe repaying student loans. As opposed to someone that's maybe nearing retirement, where they're looking more towards the information on how to live in retirement, their retirement analyzer to make sure that they have made the right choices to get them to their goal so that they can live in retirement comfortably. So the content is going to build according to wherever you are in your journey and how you answer that quick 5-minute quiz. And then again, unlock the recommendations. The next tab is one of my favorite tabs, and we will touch a little bit more on this later because budget very much reflects in your money personality. So once you take this quick quiz, you're going to find out a little bit behind the scenes about how you think about money, whether it is budgeting or saving, anything along the investment lines and your future with retirement, just a lot of different components when it comes to money. The other part of this is I always recommend, if you have other people in your household that are contributing to your finances, have them take this as well. They also have access to get on my milestones and create their own profile. So I would have them take this because then you're going to find out why each of you thinks differently. Typically, there's a saver and a spender in the house, and it helps you navigate conversations a little bit better, but also knowing that you have the same goal and how you each are going to get there differently is very, very useful tool. The next part is setting your streaks. This is just asking you, how often do you want to interact with the platform? You definitely want to have accountability here. This is going to, again, help you action everything that we're going to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and pop weekly on here, just pardon me, because I want to show you again that it builds these little XPs, which is what we're going to jump to next. So the XPs are experience points, and we call those sprouts because you're growing knowledge. And you'll find that information in your garden, and you can see your progress here. Right here, obviously, it shows that I've gotten to the 50 XPs. And with that, I want to point out that we have a sweepstakes. This is incredible. This is going to show where you can enter into drawings to win $1,000 cash each month, and there is no limit on how often you can win, and there's no limit on your entries. So as much as you're interacting with the platform is going to build all of those experience points and give you an opportunity to win that cash prize. All right. So that gives you kind of a bird's eye view of things. Today we're going to pop up here, and this is our dashboard front page, which is what we're on currently. And we're going to go to topics. Topics are going to show you popular topics as well as ways to learn, because we do all learn differently. And right now we're going to go to courses because we are learning about how to create a budget and stick to it. Okay, Sarah. Yes, we are. Sarah, we are. This is definitely, you're in the right place, my dear. We are creating a budget today on the My Milestones platform. Awesome. So right now we're in courses, and here is the creating a budget. If you want to navigate there yourself, or you're welcome just to follow along today. If you'll notice here, I've already put a heart on this. I want this to be favorited so that I can go back and visit that later. There is a tab that lives within this platform that is your favorites, and you can go back and recall that information here on the dashboard, either down the side here in favorites, where it will hold everything for you so you can revisit that again. Or you can come up here to your mindfulness and topics area, and it will also direct you there as you move through. So today we are going to go, to courses. Perfect. Matt is plugging in that course so that you can get directly there in the hyperlink. And I have completed this course already. I usually do this before I teach a session, but I want to go ahead, because it's a quick course. I do want to go ahead and go through here with you all individually through each part of it, just because I think that there's value in each component of this. And it takes us directly to some of the tools that we have that we can use when we're creating a budget. All right. We're going to jump in here. It's going to take a quick questionnaire with when you're starting this on some of the things that are your top of minds. And so it does act a little bit as a financial wellness tool, but I've already taken it. So we're going to pop into the video, and I believe this one's only about a minute long, minute and 40. Can everybody hear that?
Budgeting. It's something you hear about a lot. But unless you've ever maintained a budget of your own, the benefits of using one may seem a little obscure. To give you a sense of just how useful a budget can be, let's take a look at the basics. First off, budgeting puts you in far greater control of your money by enabling you to track your income and spending in an organized way. Put simply, having a budget and sticking to it makes it a lot harder to overspend or slip into debt. Secondly, budgeting is a great way to help you reach certain short and long-term goals. Have a dream vacation you want to go on, or perhaps there's a house or a car you want to buy, or maybe there are some student loans you'd like to pay off before you graduate. Well, achieving any of these milestones will be a lot easier with the help of a budget. But it's not only the good things in life that a budget can help you save for. There are sometimes unforeseen events, such as accidents or illnesses, for which you should also be thinking ahead. With a budget, it's much easier to put aside money for emergencies such as these, so that if anything should ever happen, you'll have the financial resources to deal with the situation. And finally, maintaining a budget is also just really important from a life skills perspective. Getting in the habit of managing your money from a young age is perhaps the best way to set yourself up for a more financially secure future. We hope we've managed to inform you about the many benefits of using a budget and inspired you to create your own.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about why that component is so important. A lot of times we think that maybe we can just do this in our head with our budget, or just guesstimate. And although that is somewhat useful, actually dedicating time to filling out a budget physically And having that mindset gives you much more control over what you're doing with your money and how you're spending it. It also makes you really, really mindful of how you're spending your money. And that's what we want to do today, because oftentimes we start in these budgeting classes and maybe you've never even made a budget before. And that is completely okay. There's, no right or wrong time to start a budget. It's just important that you do it. So what we want to do today is talk about the simplicity and the basics of a budget, and then build you to a confident place where you can really fill out a budgeting sheet, which we will have on here. There's a tool on here you can interact with, and be honest with it. And we'll talk about some of the tips and tricks that you can use to not only make some cuts in your budget, but also just how to get better control over it as a whole, and then how to do some comparisons when it comes to your statement and what you actually see on your budget. So then again, you can be held accountable for what you're actioning today. All right. Yes, this is absolutely true. Using a budget can help you achieve short and long-term goals. I think that's probably pretty self-explanatory. I loved this quiz. I didn't show the quiz of this, but what it stated was that if you were able to live in your house completely paid for, because that's usually the largest component that we spend money on is our housing, what other piece do you think you would spend the most money on? Would it be food, transportation, healthcare, or like fun, entertainment, or school or education? So for some of you, it may be school and education. And within this poll quiz, it actually just shows what the majority of the population thinks they would spend their money on. So again, just having an understanding of what your thought process is, and then once you set up a budget, you get a more of a real number, like, oh, I actually thought I'd spend more money on this, but I actually spend more money on this. So school and education, 25% of the population thought that is where the additional money would go. And that makes sense, because we all know that with inflation, tuition has gone up. 5% entertainment, that makes sense because it's a little bit more of a controlled area. You can decide whether or not you're spending on that. Food, we know that the cost of food has gone up. Let's talk about the cost of eggs, even though they're coming down. I thought it would be transportation, because I was taking into account like my car insurance, my fuel, my any maintenance I would have on it, if I had a car payment, all of those items. So I thought that would be the bigger part for myself. And then healthcare, which out-of-pocket healthcare can be incredibly expensive. So a good way just to know where you kind of lie mindset with where you think your additional funds would go to outside of housing. Okay, where does the money go? Seems like it goes very quick. So one of the things that you can do on this platform, I'm going to just go back here to try another expense, is you can actually plug in some information, very interactive. And this was, again, within the budgeting course. So we're still inside the budgeting course and walking through that. I chose coffee as one of the most commonly purchased items. I feel like that for me is probably the biggest thing that I would spend money on outside of my normal budgeting. I love this because it shows the difference in buying coffee out at $4.90 a day or making coffee at home 36 cents a day, which is quite a savings. My monthly cost is $147. That is a great perspective. I can think of a lot of other things I would prefer to spend that money on. So for me to get up and make the coffee and have it ready to go, that is a good eye opener for me, and it makes me want to make that change, because then I've got that extra money available to me. You can try other expenses. Let's do food, because a lot of us, I know, in haste with life and having it be so busy, this is an area that you can really make a change. So I loved saying, okay, you got the lunch maker person at $4.31 a day. I know in our house we can do it for less. Buying lunch out, approximately $20.37 a day. That's probably close to pretty accurate, just because even fast food prices have gone up. So it shows you in a month amount cost here, $611 difference. That's pretty massive to me. However, I can tell you there is another area on here that you can see where your money is going. In fact, it's on a session that we just did, and it's on understanding your paycheck and your W-2. On that, we show a 10-year span of spending this kind of money on lunches, what that looks like. And in 10 years, there's a $60,000 gap between the person that's eating out and the person that's making their lunch. That's huge. That is, if you're doing things right in a strict budget for retirement, you can probably utilize that as at least a year's income. So that speaks volumes to some of the changes you can make. All right, what makes up your budget? There are 3 components here that we're going to take a look at, and they're going to cover this in this video. Again, I love how short these are, and they're good and straight to the point.
In order to set up a budget, you first need to know all the various components that go into one. And the best place to begin is with your income, because your income is the biggest determining factor of how much money you'll have to work with in your budget. It's important that you take the time to calculate exactly how much you earn each month. For some people, however, this isn't so simple. Oftentimes, a person's income doesn't exclusively come from their salary or wages. It may also come from other sources, such as financial aid, child support, a pension, or Social Security benefits. To complicate matters further, sources of income may fluctuate from one month to the next. For instance, if your wages include tips or commission. So when calculating your income, be sure to take into account a monthly average of all your sources of revenue. Next, you're going to need to work out your expenditures. For most people, these can be broken into 3 clear categories: fixed expenses, variable expenses, and periodic expenses. Fixed expenses are all the things that you're obligated to pay for and whose prices are typically not negotiable. Common examples include rent, mortgage payments, insurance payments, car payments, and tuition. Your variable expenses, on the other hand, are a little more flexible. They include all the everyday expenses you're obligated to pay for, such as groceries and utilities, as well as the optional things like dining out and entertainment. To account for variable expenses on your budget sheet, you'll have to estimate the average. Lastly, there's periodic expenses, which include all those things that typically pop up once or twice throughout the year, such as medical expenses, repairs, gifts, auto registration, and any tax debt payments. These are the most difficult to estimate on a monthly basis, but it is important not to exclude them. Once you've tallied up your fixed, variable, and periodic expenses, you'll need to weigh them against your income to determine whether you're saving money, breaking even, or losing money. From there, you'll be able to draw up a budget that'll help you to keep track of your income and expenditures and to assure that you're staying financially ahead.
So I really like that breaks that down into those 3 components, because a piece of this is understanding what all of those components are when you're making your budget and where you have more control and where you have less control. So when you're calculating your income of budget, which of the following sources should you consider? All of them. We all know any kind of money that's coming in, you've got a side hustle, any of that, you want to make sure that you're including all of that. Okay. This is the part where I'm going to have Matt drop in the budgeting tool in the hyperlink there on the chat, because I want you, if you're not following along, to have access to this and be able to grab this and pull this up right away. This is a wonderful interactive piece of My Milestones. I have already done some pre-filling on this. So this is the budgeting tool where you can actually either print this. If you're more of a paper to pencil, or paper and pencil kind of a person, you can print it here, or you can utilize it here right on the page and interact with that. So what we've done so far is I just plugged in some random numbers so that you would get a better idea of how this looks and works. You can also edit this, and you can use your slide here, or you can physically put numbers in, however you prefer to work. And then you can also edit this and name this something else. So, we're just, okay, perfect, update it, and we're ready to go. You can add other income here as well, and you can delete this too. I don't need that, so I'm going to remove that. Yes, remove it. Perfect. Now I've just got my nice clean budget and I can move forward. So a part of this budget is finding out goals. We want to see where we can get with the numbers that we have. So I've put in just a little bit of information here, and I'm going to plug into this again because I want you to see how this works. So my emergency fund, I like that. I'm starting with $100 and I want my balance to be $3,000, and then I can pick my goal date. So I'll just say by March of 2026, and look how quickly that figures for me what I need to do. So just like that, now I know this is what I need to start putting back each month if this is the goal that I want to make by this time. Awesome. Not interested in a new car or a house, but if you have all of these things happening, these are great places to start plugging and playing with these numbers so you can see where you're really at. Again, you can edit, add, delete. Investing, I am always thinking about retirement, so I always want to have money going here. Your monthly expenses. All right, here we all need a little bit of truth serum. We want to make sure that we're plugging in real numbers here. So you want to have all of this on a level playing field with what it really looks like on your statements. Now, one of the areas here that you'll get to on your budget, it's going to show this area that I've added in as AT&T phone and internet as separate or as one lump sum thing. And I wanted to add and break this down so that I could utilize this differently. You can fill this out however you want. I wanted it specific because we have other things in our house that we're paying for, such as like YouTube TV, my Netflix. I had that on there as well. I must have deleted that earlier, but I had my Netflix listed on there. I had my Amazon Prime listed on there. At least I thought I did. And it's something that I want to be able to see in my subscriptions because this is an area that I have more control over. And I can obviously say, okay, I'm going to cancel that. We are not using that. That is just too much and we can do without. So you can make changes here to this and you'll see why when we get down to the bottom and then we go take a look at our live calculator. So you can see how robust this tool is. It really gives you an opportunity to put every single thing in here and take away whatever you need to. But the main thing is that you're being honest with this budgeting tool. This is the only way you're going to be able to make some changes in progress. And again, it's going to show you the way that you are spending your money. Where did it go? It shows right here. So here you go. It took all my information, plugged and played. And I love this. Yes, you can add annual expenses as well. Absolutely. Do an edit here. I'm going to find one that's an annual expense. I like property taxes. All right, we want to edit that. Okay, so it is set for monthly. So you know what, on that, Jamie, I would say, even though you have a monthly budget for this, I would go ahead and keep it at this. And I got to be honest with you, I've not had a question about that now. Let's see if we can set it as an annual. I love this. I'm going to have to do some more research on that and see if I can pin down if there's a way for us to do the annual part of that. Oh, review. I love that. I love that you guys are asking that. Okay. One option. Okay. Matt's working on that part of it. I love that question about if you can plug in an annual way to save on here or to have that on there. Perfect. All right, we will get answers for you on that. So anyways, what you want to see here on your budget status is if this monthly net is really reflected in what you have left over at the end of the month. If your statement is not aligning with that, here's your opportunity. get your statement out, start comparing it to your numbers that you have on your budget. We want to make sure that you've got everything included in there and it's aligned. This is how you take control over your finances. This is how this empowers you. Once you have this, now you can start moving in some other directions. You can start making changes to make sure that you're saving money and putting it where you want to put it. One of the things about the lunch component, I'll just add that in with the making your lunches, something that we do that's super simple. We get 2 loaves of bread. This isn't all we eat for the week, but we get 2 loaves of bread. We do 1 peanut butter and jelly, 1 meat and cheese, and I don't even buy the baggies. I go to the Dollar General and I get the cling wrap so that we can just wrap everything because that goes a lot further. That is a small change, not only that we can make in our own household, but that we're teaching our family, our kids, how to do that and how to move forward like that. Another grocery saving tip is if you are, say, more of an impulse buyer, which you can learn in your money personality, by the way. If you go in and you don't have a list, or you do have a list and you're not sticking to it, you're like, I'm going to try that. I saw that and I think that looks good and I'm going to try that. You get home and you're like, oh, I just overspent by, 20%. Well, my oldest, she actually will order online. She pays the $2 to go pick up. And not that I'm plugging Aldi's, but that is where we do a majority of our shopping because we get a lot better deals there. She will go to Aldi's. They bring the groceries out to her. She never goes in the store. So that is a way for her to cut costs. That $2 that she spends saves her so much more by not going into the store. And then she meal preps. So tips like that can really help you. Obviously, we can't control the price of gas, things of that nature, but there are other ways that you can cut costs. And this is going to help you to realize how to do that. It's going to give you the power to do that. All right. Do you really need that? Again, great thing to ask. I do this out loud. I actually will say, if I'm in a store, is that a want or a need? I'm sure the people that are shopping around me really appreciate that, but is that a want or a need? When I say that out loud, I am more accountable for that. I'm owning it and I'm like, okay, well, is it? What is it? So it helps me to make better decisions. I love that Jamie just plugged in there that when she makes dinner, she has leftovers and it's easier for her to put that away in a Lunchable container. Love that. And I will tell you, at our house, we have a night that we call it must go. Everything in the fridge must go. Instead of saying we're having leftovers, we use the must go night. And that really does help us not waste and get through the rest of what we have. But we also do a lot of packing what we have left into containers for lunch the next day. 100%. Love that tip. Let's analyze our budgets now. Let's see how good we are at this.
Once you've created a budget, it's time to start analyzing your spending and looking for ways to save money. For this, you're going to have to zero in on all the expenses over which you do have some control, your variable and periodic expenses. Take the time to review all the things that fall under these spending categories and ask yourself whether or not they're really necessary. Could you live without them, or are there cheaper alternatives you could opt for instead? Sometimes you can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars each year just by shopping around for better prices. Another important rule to live by is to spend less than you take home. Assuming you do this already, be smart about whatever leftover income you have at the end of each week or month. One idea for the surplus funds would be to transfer some into the savings account, or alternatively, you could consider investing it. Whatever you do, avoid spending your excess income just for the sake of it. Another strategy for saving money includes limiting your use of credit cards with resulting fees and interest charges. Instead, you can use the surplus in your budget to save up for the expensive items you really want, as opposed to purchasing them on credit. Lastly, take the time to think seriously about what motivates your spending. Do you tend to splurge more on items during times of stress? Are you driven to buy products that you see advertised on social media or being promoted by celebrities? Just like looking for ways to spend less and living within your means, developing an awareness for the psychological factors that make you spend will enable you to better manage your money on an ongoing basis and work towards your financial goals.
So that hits on that money personality again, knowing your mindset and how you operate when it comes to thinking about money. So I, again, highly encourage you to take that money personality quiz. It's going to help you to get from point A to point B and be more mindful of it. Okay. This is kind of exciting because I wanted to show this component here because when I was taking my first initial quiz to start this budgeting course, I put on there that I am a student. I answered yes to I'm a student. So the content that was built, because I answered the question that way, was built and budgeted or geared towards budgeting for students. I absolutely love this. Now, the overall spectrum of the budget course was for everyone, but this component here was specifically built for students because I answered that question that way. So that is so cool how this customizes to what we're doing. So it touches again on a lot of different aspects, and I will show you an area on the platform where it talks about everything for students specifically. And we'll get into that a little bit later here towards the end of the course. So I just wanted to do just a brief, scroll down overview so you could see some of the topics here that this will show you. So go back and take this course yourself so that you can really read through this content and get the most out of it. Okay, you can find opportunities to spend less by analyzing your variable and periodic expenses. Absolutely, we just learned that. And that was what our budget showed us too. So when we were working with that tool itself, it showed us exactly what we needed to do.
If you've ever created a budget, you know how helpful it can be to track money coming in and money going out. However, there are a few other money management strategies you need to be aware of to fully maximize your budget to your advantage. One of the big ones is eliminating unnecessary spending. Things like dining out, buying your to-go coffee every day, and splurging on cabs are all things that over time can end up restricting your ability to save. Other tips to keep in mind include not letting yourself be tempted by sales, always taking a list when you go grocery shopping, and ensuring you pay all your bills on time. One other area in which you can be strategic is with the method of payment that you use, as some can be financially smarter than others. With cash, for example, you can physically see the dollars that you're spending, which makes you less likely to splurge on unnecessary items. Credit and debit cards, on the other hand, can often make your money feel abstract, making it much easier to spend recklessly. And of course, with credit cards come additional fees and interest charges, which is the last thing you want if you're trying to save money. Finally, in addition to all these money management strategies, there's one very important step you can take, and that's living green. Making an effort to be environmentally conscious enables you to fulfill two needs with one deed. By reducing waste, conserving electricity, taking public transportation, and opting for secondhand items, you'll save money while also doing good for the planet. While maintaining a budget is extremely important, remember that there are additional strategies you can employ to ensure your financial health is the best it can be.
Give some thumbs up for whoever's still with me on all this. And if you've got any questions, want to invite you again into adding that into the chat. We want to make sure we're getting answers for you all on everything that we are all budget and anything else that might be top of mind. All right, great. Following habits, let's action some of this stuff. Who is more apt to making a grocery list after this course? Give me some thumbs up or some hearts or something exciting that we have as far as our stuff that we've got available to us on Zoom. I love the reactions. They're so much more fun on Zoom than they are on Teams. So this is great. Love it. What about the paying bills on time? A great thing that you can do for this, and you can thumbs up if this is going to be one of your things, is setting everything up on a direct debit or on a bill pay system, because then you're setting not only that expectation that it's going to be in on time, so you're avoiding any additional fees, but then you know exactly the amount that you're going to be taking out on that payment date, and you've got it a little bit more narrowed down on your budget. How about some hearts and rocket ships for Avoiding tempting sales. That is tricky because you see it and you think, oh my gosh, this is a great deal. And my husband always says this little thing, what is 100% of zero, Stacy? I'm like, I know it. If I would have spent zero, I would have saved 100%. There's no sale that is that good. So again, we're back to that place of, is it a want or is it a need? So don't get trapped in some of that. Get your mind right, as we say, and make sure that you are taking control of your decision-making process. All right, now we are to doing some tips and tricks. Read the content when you have an opportunity to come through and look at some of this. Some of the highlights of this is, again, we're doing the shopping mindset. So if it is a good deal and it truly has good reviews and it's something that you are in need of, by all means, yes, give yourself the go ahead to do that. Even if you need to make a cut somewhere else, maybe that's the day that you're like, all right, I'm not going to have my coffee for, this many days out. I'm going to make it at home so that I can make this the thing that I'm focusing on to purchase. Keep these little tips and tricks in mind. They're good. I want you to go back and revisit that. All right. Which of the behaviors are you most likely to implement or change by using your budget to maximize its potential? I love that it says that, maximize. Let's get it to as far as we can go. If I am making my lunches at home and I know that that monthly savings is going to be $147, then I want to make sure that I'm taking that $147 and I am putting it into my savings goal, because y'all saw that I have a goal there and I want that money to go there specifically. Once I do that, even 1 month, that is going to give me that encouragement. I'm going to see that number going up. I'm one day closer to my goal. I get excited about that. It makes me want to continue that behavior. And that's what we're trying to change, is when you're doing your budgeting, we're changing behaviors just like you would if you were trying to introduce something into your health, your physical health lifestyle. And you're like, okay, I'm going to walk every day, or I'm going to make my lunches every day. You make that an action because you want a better result. Same thing with your finances. Action it, you get a better result. So on these items here, what's going to be your choice? Are you going to cut back on unnecessary spending? Are you going to do some online tracking, which you can do right on the My Milestones platform? I like the envelope budgeting. This is how I started when I was young. My mom and dad taught me the envelope method. And what that is, if you all don't know, you set up 3 envelopes or more. One is going to be for your needed expenses, which is going to be like rent, car payment, etc., like that. Then my next one was for my groceries. The next one was for my savings, and the next one was for my spending. Obviously, I have one envelope that is priority, and that has to be filled. That is how I operated when I was first learning how to budget, and it helped me so much because then I kept practicing that all the time, just practicing, practicing, practicing. So this is a great way to get started, or if you have kiddos, this is a great way to teach them how to get started. Lots of options here. Automated bill pay, we talked about. Savings and investment accounts should be top of mind. Roth IRAs are a great way to get started with that. But if you are in the very beginning stages, start with a savings account or talk to a banker even about doing maybe a CD so that you can learn how to get a little bit more bang for your buck and how to operate out of that and have an emergency savings on the side. Always find additional source of income. If you are able to do a side hustle, awesome for you. If there's anything else, a lot of people have to work a couple of jobs, and sometimes that's just the way it is. If it's hard, it's probably going to be worth it. So I'm feeling better about this. Can I get some thumbs up about better confidence for setting yourself up for a budget and completing some things? Love that. Love that. All right, with that, that concludes the course itself. But we're going to head back and look at some other things on the platform that are going to be helpful and supportive to you so that you can continue to set a budget and move forward with that. And some of this information you're going to find in your topics. you can go down and go through all of these ways to learn because we all learn differently. I want to make sure that you're invited into that area. I typically like tools. I like the interactive part of it. And I do like the courses because I can just listen sometimes and plug into it that way. And that helps me get through that information. But some of the great pieces are the Start Here guides. The Start Here guides are going to be a quick read. They're going to be a way for you to get started in anything, literally what they say. I've favorited this Getting Started with Assessing Your Finances. It shows that it's a 5-minute read. Love that. Love that it shows me that it's on budgeting. So pop in here. It gives me some more information, some more content. I'm going to read this Start Here guide. And there we go. I've got information right at my fingertips. It is going to reiterate everything we just covered in the course, and it may have some more insights to what you need to do to make your budget healthy. So quick read. I'm going to go to my dashboard and I'm going to come to favorites. There's your favorites tab. If you're using a phone, your profile is going to look a little bit more, it's going to look different, and your tab section is going to be in a different area there. So your favorites are going to hold all that information that you have hearted, you favorited, and you want to go back and take a look at later since you don't have time maybe now. All right, another one here, infographics. We actually sent this out, not this month, but last month. It'll be out on your Handshake, or would have been out on Handshake, as just to test how good are your budgeting skills. This is fantastic. It is an interactive quiz where you go through and answer these questions. And as you categorize yourself into each color, yes, the blue, the pink, the green, once you answer these questions, it gives you the result down at the bottom, and you find out where you sit with your budgeting skill set. Now, I just want to encourage all of y'all, when you fail, it just means you're getting better at something. You are trying it, and you're going to get up and you're going to get better at it. So don't be discouraged if you don't fall in the perfect category, if you don't have the perfect answers when you set your budget, if you don't have the exact numbers coming out when you're trying to get there. It just takes time and it takes practice. And I want to encourage you that you will get there. You just got to keep practicing all of it. It really makes a difference. Practice, practice, practice. How did we ever learn handwriting or any other skill set? We had to practice. Another great one for you to take would be understanding your paycheck. And I saw that Matt plugged in there the 50-30-20 budget rule. That's another great budgeting tool to live by. And it talks about how 50% of your income should go to your necessities, and 30% goes to your spending. I mean, your spending, and then 20% to your savings. So love, love, love all of the information that's at your fingertips for all of this. Another one that's great for you to take a look at is understanding or interpreting your pay stub. And I want to encourage you all again, because I know we had a great session on this last time where we examined understanding your paycheck and your W-2s. I love this because we are told to go out and get a job, but then no one explains to us what our paycheck really is and what it looks like. We laughed because my kids came home and said, "Who's FICA? Why are they taking money out?" And we really drilled down into what FICA is, and how it works, what you contribute, what your employer contributes percentage-wise, and where this benefits you later on in life. By understanding these kinds of things, it really does help you have a better mindset for creating your budget and understanding where your money's going. And not only for this, short-term goal, but for long-term goals, because those two things, the FICA parts, contribute to your retirement later on. Knowing that you have quarters to fill with your Social Security, and what that looks like. I believe it's 40 quarters that you have to do. And it's it's your pay periods over the course of time, and you don't have to do it back to back, but that is where you're filling in your Social Security for your retirement. So there's a lot of information here that can help you understand, again, what your budgeting looks like and how you are able to get that to a successful place. And we just want to encourage you to get on here, to take the quiz, to get this customized and get you out there making a budget, utilizing all the tools that are available here so you can be successful. Are there any topics that anybody would like me to do a quick search on while we've got a couple of more minutes here? The search icon is here, and I'm glad to type in anything anybody wants to take a quick look at so you can get a better idea of what the platform has to offer to you. I'm going to take any takers in the chat right quick. If not, I'll fill one in. All right. Love it. Thank you, Hong. Beautiful. This is another session that we work on and drill down a little bit more. So understanding your credit score. Understanding credit score and your reports. This is fantastic. We've got courses on here. Obviously, there's a lot of courses that we're adding in here, but we also have these tools. These tools are going to be the interactives like we just did with the budgeting. Then there's content. And it shows you, is this a 3-minute read or a 3-minute video, whatever it is. Here's a minute video. You can heart this stuff, which is what I would recommend if you've got just a few minutes and you've got a little break and you're like, I want to learn about this later on. Heart it. You can go back and look at it later on. So you can see that there's lots of information right at your fingertips. I want you all to take advantage of this. It's really an incredible tool. I used to be a former educator, and then I've got a deep well of banking background. So this is the perfect fit for me. I get to teach people about finances and financial wellness. So I absolutely love this. You as students are very near and dear to my heart because I am always seeking knowledge and I will always seek knowledge. I think it's incredible. This is such a slick platform that it has so much information right at your fingertips, as well as the ability to connect with WGU. On multiple areas. The other thing I want to show you is that you have the availability to connect with Commerce Bank if you would like to. You receive this platform and this benefit because you're a student of WGU, not a client of Commerce. We would welcome you to be a client with us. We'd love an opportunity to take care of you. But if you want to get in touch with us, this is where this information lives. You can do that at any point in time and reach out to us. The last tab I want to show you today is the mindfulness tab. This is where you would get the money personality, but it also gives you things like money meditations. Financial journaling is one of my favorites. And once you take the personality quiz and the financial wellness checkup, you'll see what your stress score is. And that's really cool to look at because it will give you an idea of how to lower that and where you fall if you're low, mid, or high. When you're in the high stress zone, more than likely you're probably having stomach aches and you're very much distracted in whatever you're doing because you're really thinking about your finances a lot. That is why this exists, because we want to lower that. The financial journaling piece, I utilize this to track my vehicle information. And I mean that in the way that, say, we literally just spent $8,000 on my son's transmission replacement. So I would put that information in here, and then it would hold this information for me so I don't have to think about this later on. And then I can come back and revisit this. So now I've got this in here. I'm going to go on with my life. I'm back in and I'm on my platform, and okay, now something else has happened. So now I've got to go back to my journaling. It's already here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. Now we're going to spend $300 on Joel's truck for gaskets, let's say. All right, done. I'm going to heart this because I want to be able to get back to it quickly. So later on in life, I'm back in here again. Now something else is going on with his truck. Well, I don't have to remember in my statement where it happened. I don't have to remember the amount because now I've got it right here in my journal and I can say, okay, goodness sakes, look how much we've spent. Oh, I did the hearting and it doubled it. Look at that. And I can delete it. Okay, now we're accurate. I can see what we've spent on his truck. Okay, guess what, Joel? This is starting to cost too much. Here, you're gonna go look at what we have on my milestones. And we're gonna see if it's time maybe that we do some different things on the car. There's more information here than just this course. We've got tools. We've got content. Shopping for a car. I think it does, I know when I was looking at, yeah, financing, and it does some information on what is auto insurance and breaking that all down. So great tool, whatever season you are in life, this is where you want to come. One-stop shop, again, protects all your information. So with that, I'm going to head back to the presentation and we are going to take a look at the call to action. We've put a lot of this already in the chat earlier. Go on, get signed on, use that QR code or go to your URL, take the Creating a Budget course, use the budgeting tool, and read that Start Here guide so that you're better equipped to get moving on this and have action to it. Make sure you're holding yourself accountable, have your household join in the fun. I mean, everybody can help contribute to this. And again, when everyone knows the goal, they are going to help everybody get to the goal, the end goal. Lastly, here's my contact information. Please reach out if you have any questions for my milestones or banking. If I don't have the answer, I will get you the answer. So thank you again, Hong. We just so love participating with you all on getting this up and running. And I hope you all will action your financial wellness and get empowered and start doing some new budgeting.